When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the exact second when the class group chat exploded. Class monitor Zhang Wei tagged me in the group. Linshi, the plane tickets are so expensive. Do you think we're all rich girls like you, with money to spare? Class teacher MS. Lu immediately followed up with a message. Linshi, group activities should be democratic. Airline tickets are so expensive. How could you make decisions on your own? You're so inconsiderate. I stared at the screen, my fingertips growing cold inch by inch. In my previous life, it was these exact words that pushed me to the opposite side of the entire class back then. I was in a hurry to explain, to send up the screenshot of the discounted tickets at 388 yuan each, to tell them that I had stayed up for 2 nights just to snag these tickets, but no one listened. Zhang Wei said screenshots could be photoshopped. Teacher Lu said I had a bad attitude, and my classmates said I was deliberately showing off because my family had money. To avoid delaying the graduation trip, I swallowed my grievances and continued booking tickets, paying up front, planning itineraries, and arranging accommodations. Along the way, they complained that the flight took off too early, that the inn wasn't fancy enough, and that the restaurants I booked didn't suit their tastes. Zhang Wei, however, said in a private small group chat that I definitely took kickbacks from the travel agency and the hotel. After returning to school, he posted about this on the campus forum, falsely accusing me of profiting from the graduation trip. I went to the school to appeal with my order, transaction records, and chat logs, but was blocked by Zhang Wei in the stairwell of the teaching building. He tried to take my phone, but I refused to give it to him. During the scuffle, I tumbled down the steps and hit the back of my head on a fire hydrant. As blood began to flow, I heard Zhang Wei say in a panic, "She fell on her own, it has nothing to do with me." Teacher Lu also said, "Linshi is too emotional, and usually a bit paranoid." And then, I died. The last thing I saw before death was the evidence package on my phone screen that I hadn't had time to send. In this life, looking at the coordinated messages in the group chat, I suddenly smiled. Explanation: no, I crawled back from hell, not to give another common sense lesson to idiots. 1. After the college entrance exam, the class was buzzing about going on a graduation trip to Yunnan, the land of colorful clouds. Since I usually enjoy planning trips, Zhang Wei came to me and handed over all the arrangements for transportation and accommodation. I agreed. It wasn't because I wanted to be the one footing the bill, but at that time I still thought, after 3 years as classmates, this would be our last group activity, so it would be nice to make it a little more dignified. I mobilized all my travel buddies and stayed up for 2 nights waiting for the airlines to release tickets, finally snagging a batch of discounted flights at an average price of 388 yuan per person. At this price, you can't even take a high-speed train. In my previous life, just as I was about to share the good news in the group chat, Zhang Wei beat me to it, labeling me as a rich girl who doesn't understand hardship. This time around, the process remains the same. I had just sent the message, got the tickets, when Zhang Wei suddenly jumped in. At Linshi, I asked you to handle the ticket booking because I trusted you. Look at what you've booked. Flights to Yunnan, I just checked, and the cheapest ones are over 1,000 yuan. There are more than 40 of us in the class. This will cost 40 to 50,000 yuan. Do you think we're all as rich as your family, not caring about such small amounts of money? The group fell silent for 2 seconds, then someone quickly chimed in, "Flight tickets are really too expensive. Our family's financial situation isn't great, we really can't afford it. Group activities should be discussed collectively. One person shouldn't have the final say." I look at these familiar words, feeling no grievance from my past life, only a chill in my heart. I didn't even mention the price. They had already convicted me. Teacher Lu's profile picture popped up. Linshi, Zhang Wei has a point. Graduation trip is a group activity, not your personal stage. Deciding on such an expensive flight ticket without permission is indeed inappropriate. By doing so, you will make some classmates from less affluent families feel very embarrassed and also undermine class unity. So inconsiderate. I lowered my eyes and took screenshots of each of these passages one by one. In my previous life, it was these chat records that Zhang Wei deleted completely after my death. In this life, I won't give them another chance to destroy the evidence. I exported the group chat, uploaded it to the cloud, and also sent it separately to my desk mate. See you messaged me privately. CC, don't mind them, just post the ticket price first. They still think 388 is expensive. I replied, take your time. Zhang Wei continued his performance in the group chat. Linshi, don't pretend to be dead. Quickly cancel the tickets and let's come up with a more affordable plan. I opened the airline order of more than 40 discounted tickets, totaling over 17,000. In my previous life, I couldn't bear to cancel them because I felt it was something I had worked hard to And it was the most cost-effective option for the whole class, but later I realized that things others don't value, if kept, will only turn into a knife stabbing oneself. I didn't hesitate and directly clicked cancel ticket. The order status popped up with 5 red characters, cancelled. Then I opened the railway ticketing app, departure, destination, filter criteria, price from low to high. The first one that popped up was a K-series green train, hard seat, 365 yuan. Duration 58 hours and 21 minutes, 3 days and 2 nights, very good, cheap, democratic, and affordable. Following the list of people who wanted to go, I bought hard seats for the entire class and teacher Lou, except for myself and Siu. As for myself, I bought a business class ticket departing on the same day. Siu, I booked a luxury soft sleeper for her. In her previous life, she was the only one who spoke up for me. Kindness is only truly kindness when it is given to the right person. 2. The criticism in the class group chat continues. Where's Linshi? Miss won't be angry, will she, if she doesn't refund the money? I'm not paying. I typed slowly and deliberately, at all members, in accordance with the opinions of the class monitor and teacher Lou. The original flight ticket arrangement has been cancelled. The next second, I sent 2 screenshots. The first one was a discounted flight ticket order, with order cancelled clearly written beside it. The second one is the newly booked train ticket order. Over 40 names are neatly listed. I thoughtfully circled the words hard seat in red. Immediately after, I sent the third message, selected the most economical option as requested by everyone. Train tickets are 365 yuan per person, 23 yuan cheaper than the original airfare. I have already paid the full amount. Please transfer your share as soon as possible. Meeting time remains unchanged. Have a pleasant journey, everyone. The group chat fell into complete silence. 1 minute later, Zhang Wei's question marks filled the screen. Linshi, what do you mean by that? Green train, hard seat, 3 days and 2 nights. You're doing this on purpose to get back at me. I laughed. Class monitor, how is this revenge? You said the ticket was too expensive, so I switched to a cheaper one. You said you wanted something economical, so I chose the most affordable option. You said to refund the ticket and choose again, so I refunded it and made a new selection. I followed your every step, so why am I still the one in the wrong in the end? Zhang Wei was so stunned he couldn't speak for a long time, and the others finally reacted, wailing and lamenting. 3 days on a hard seat, my back won't survive that. Linshi, stop being ridiculous. Let's refund the tickets. We'll fly instead. How much did the ticket cost? Exactly, you should clarify that first. I looked at these messages, my heart calm. In my previous life, they were the same. They were quick to condemn, but only when the truth was about to hit them. Did they finally ask, exactly how much was it? Too late. Teacher Lou came out again to mediate. Linshi, why are you being so impulsive? Just because a classmate said a few words to you, you're throwing a tantrum. Listen to the teacher. First return the train ticket, then we can discuss it together. I replied to her directly. Teacher Lou, I am not acting on impulse. You said collective activities should be democratic, and I followed through. You said you wanted to take care of classmates from ordinary family backgrounds, and I have followed your instructions. If everyone now feels that hard seats are no longer good, it can only mean that what you're really after isn't affordability, but cheap, comfortable, fast travel without having to bear any consequences of misunderstanding others. But there's no such thing as so many things that are taken for granted in the world. Oh, there have been. The special fare ticket I managed to grab after staying up for 2 consecutive nights, priced at 388 yuan per person, is exactly that. Unfortunately, you personally rejected it. The group fell silent once again. I didn't bother reading their barrage of private messages and directly turned on Do Not Disturb. Then, I backed up all the orders, group chats, and transaction records. In my previous life, I died at the moment when the evidence hadn't been sent out yet. In this life, every step I take must leave a trace. 3. On the day I left, my mom drove me to the airport. She straightened my dress for me and slipped me a card. When you're out there on your own, live well and eat well. If someone makes you unhappy, just stay away from them. Don't let yourself be wronged. I hugged her, feeling a slight sting in my nose. In my previous life, after I died, my mother's hair turned almost completely white overnight. I drifted through the cold mist of the funeral home, watching her hold my portrait, crying until she fainted. In this life, I won't let her suffer those pains. Because of my weakness again, I smiled and said, I know, business class doesn't require long lines. I entered the VIP lounge, ordered a freshly brewed latte, and sat on the window-side sofa, watching silver-white planes glide across the tarmac. CU's message popped up. She's already at the train station. In the photo, the waiting hall was packed with people, and suitcases were scattered everywhere. Zhang Wei's face was ashen, directing several boys to move instant noodles and mineral water. Sue You sent a message, report to the organization, the enemy has arrived on the battlefield, morale is zero, and resentment is soaring. I replied, be careful, lock the door and rest when you reach the soft sleeper. See you, don't worry, I've maintained physical distance from the hard seat disaster victims. By the way, they're now cursing Zhang Wei, saying he insisted on stirring things up and got everyone stuck on the train. I lowered my head and chuckled, they were never incapable of self-reflection, it's just that when the knife doesn't cut their own flesh, they don't feel the pain. I took a photo of the latte, dessert, and the airplane outside the window, and sent it to see you. She replied instantly, Lindsay, be a decent person, all I have here is plain water. I thought for a moment and sent her a red envelope, buy something nice, don't be too hard on yourself. The announcement sounded, and I stood up to board the plane. Before leaving, I posted a moment on my social media. The accompanying picture was of the airplane wing, blue sky, coffee, and a boarding pass, copywriting, graduation trip, let's go, visible to group, all members of Class 2, Grade 12. 2.5 hours later, the plane landed. I boarded the pre-booked private car and headed straight for the 5-star hotel. The soft bed, the bright floor-to-ceiling windows, and the distant mountains and ancient city outside were all in full view. I took a hot shower, changed into a dress, and went downstairs to enjoy the local mushroom hot pot. The battle reports from CU's side were also updated simultaneously. I sat on a hard seat for 10 hours, and the toilet is already a disaster. A girl threw up, guys are squatting in the carriage connection area playing cards, the smell of instant noodles mixed with sweat, it's like a biochemical hazard. Zhang Wei is losing his authority as the class monitor, no one is listening to him. I was eating mushrooms while looking at the photos, no sympathy. This path was their own choice. For the next 2 days, I had a great time. Snowy mountains, ancient cities, flower cakes, folk music bars, and infinity pools. Every photo I posted on my moments still restricted to specific groups. I'm not trying to show off, I just want them to understand that the cost of missing out on discounted tickets is not something I should bear for them. For on the third day at noon, I leisurely checked out and arrived at the Gathering Inn. The inn was one I had booked long in advance. Others we're staying in basic shared rooms, each costing less than 50 per person. CU and I are in a second-floor view room. In my previous life, to save money, I booked myself into a basic room as well. In the end, my classmates complained about the dampness, the insufficient hot water, and the poor soundproofing, and they ended up taking their frustration out on me. This time around, I'm not going to put myself through that. I sat by the window in the lobby, ordering a pot of pu'er tea. I had just taken half a cup when the harsh sound of a suitcase rolling over the stone tiles came from the entrance. My dear classmates finally arrived. They looked like a group of human beings drained of all energy. Zhang Wei walked at the front, his t-shirt wrinkled like pickled vegetables, greasy hair sticking to his forehead, and dark circles under his eyes as if he'd been punched. The girls had no makeup on, their faces sallow. The boys dragged their suitcases behind them, as if they had just crawled out of a mine. When they saw me, their footsteps halted in unison. I was wearing a light-colored dress today, with clean makeup and smooth hair. I feel so refreshed, as if I'm in a different season from them. Zhang Wei stared at me, his eyes almost blazing with anger. Linshi, we took a 3-day train ride, and you flew here to enjoy yourself. I set down my teacup and looked up at him. Otherwise, I bought the plane ticket with my own money. Do I need to report it to you? He choked for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, you're just deliberately making fun of us. Class monitor, my tone was very flat. It was you who said the plane tickets were too expensive in the group chat back then. It was you who said we should be economical, and it was also you who told me to refund the tickets and choose new ones. I met your request, so why are you unhappy again? I looked at his face, twisted with frustration, and continued to add insult to injury. Are you expecting me to endure 3 days on a hard seat with you, and then I'll show up here looking greasy and disheveled? Sorry, I'm not that fond of asking for trouble. The surroundings were deathly quiet. Teacher Lu squeezed through, his expression grim, yet he still maintained his air of authority. Linshi, everyone is tired from the long journey. As a classmate, you should be considerate of others and not make sarcastic remarks. I smiled. Teacher Lu, they've had a tiring journey by train, we should be understanding. Then you showed me any understanding when I stayed up late to grab tickets, only to be scolded by you in front of the whole class for being inconsiderate and undermining unity. You condemned me without even asking for the facts. Now that things aren't as you thought, you want me to consider the bigger picture. Sorry, I can't take care of this big picture. Teacher Lu's face turned pale and then flushed. In my previous life, I was most afraid of disappointing my teachers. Whenever she said immature, I would panic, wanting to explain, apologize, and prove that I meant no harm. Now I Understand that some people don't care about the truth, they only care about who can maintain their dignity. The landlady stepped in to smooth things over. Dear students and teachers, the rooms are all ready. Please check in first. Everyone dragged their suitcases to the front desk soon. New cries of distress arose. Why is it a 4-person room? The first floor is so damp. The room in the backyard still smells moldy. The landlady looked hesitant. Your class leader asked for something economical. This is already the cheapest room type. Zhang Wei suddenly turned around and glared at me. I picked up my teacup without even lifting my eyes. Class monitor, we've already taken the hard seats for 365 yuan, and the accommodation is less than 50 yuan per person. What else could you be unsatisfied with? Isn't this quite in line with your budget travel spirit? Zhang Wei's face turned green. So you came in from the door, carrying a bag on her back, and happily ran to my side. Shishi. I've brought back the flour cakes, fresh out of the oven. She placed the pastries on the table, deliberately raising her voice. That mushroom hot pot last night was absolutely amazing, and the folk music bar was so worth it. It really made our 2-day early arrival worthwhile. The expressions on the faces of those around grew even more unpleasant. I unwrapped the flour cake and handed her a piece. Eat, don't waste a good mood. 5. That evening, as expected, they didn't call me for dinner. I'm not interested in joining their gathering either. Siyu and I were enjoying the evening breeze on the viewing balcony, ordering local specialties and watching the ancient city's lights gradually come on. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was a friend request message from Wang Jing. She was a girl in the class who usually got along with me fairly well in my previous life. She had also secretly sent a message to my mom after my death saying, "I'm sorry, although that apology came too late, I still remember it." Wang Jing said, "Linshi, I'm sorry, seeing you today, I realized that we were truly misled by Zhang Wei before." I didn't reply right away. She sent another message. Zhang Wei had privately created a small group earlier, saying you always pretend to be aloof, claiming you must have booked expensive flights on purpose to show off, and even said your family is rich, so you definitely wouldn't mind covering the costs for everyone. We were out of our minds back then, actually believing it. My eyes turned cold. In my previous life, the root of that online violence on the forum was this private chat group. I asked, "Do you have screenshots?" Wang Jing remained silent for a few minutes before sending several pictures. In the picture, Zhang Wei's face is clearly visible. People like Lin, she always pretend to be generous. Isn't she just trying to show off how good she is at snatching flight tickets? Later, I'll mention the price in the main group, and you all should follow up by saying it's expensive. She'll definitely panic. Let her refund the ticket then, and we'll discuss it slowly. I stared at those few sentences and smiled. It turned out that the so-called public opinion had been a carefully designed encirclement from the very beginning. I sent the 388 yuan flight ticket order details to Wang Jing. "This is the ticket you thought was too expensive." There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Finally, she sent a message. "I'll send this to them." I replied, "Suit yourself." Early the next morning, the atmosphere in the inn had changed. The looks in those classmates' eyes shifted from resentment to guilt. Zhang Wei's gaze shifted from trust to disgust. He obviously knew the screenshot had gone viral. Huddled in the corner, looking as if he had swallowed a fly, Teacher Lu called the whole class to the yard after lunch. She forced a smile and said they were having a temporary class meeting, with the theme being unity. At the end, she looked at me. "Linshi, I know you've been wronged, but we're all classmates. A little conflict, let it go and move on. Shouldn't you also be more magnanimous and step forward to apologize to everyone, to ease the tension?" The courtyard was so quiet that only the sound of the wind could be heard. I stood up and looked her straight in the eye. "Teacher Lu, what exactly do you want me to apologize for?" "Apologize for staying up late to snag the 388 discount ticket for me. Apologize for not swallowing my pride after being wrongfully accused, or apologize for switching to the cost-effective plan as you and the class monitor requested." Teacher Lu's smile froze on his face. "Linshi, I did it for everyone's good. Then I'll ask you 3 questions as well." My tone was steady, not giving her a chance to change the subject. "First, when the argument broke out in the group, why didn't you, as the homeroom teacher, first ask me how much the ticket price was? Secondly, just because of one statement from Zhang Wei, you concluded that I acted on my own and undermined unity. Is this the fairness a teacher should have? Third, now that the facts are clear, instead of making the rumor monger apologize, you are forcing me, the victim, to apologize. Is this for everyone's good, or just to save your own face?" With each word spoken, Teacher Lu's face grew a little paler. She stood beside me, her voice trembling yet resolute. "I can testify, Lin, she put a lot of effort into planning for this trip, and she even stayed up late to book the flight tickets. She never deceived anyone from start to finish. You didn't give her a chance to explain, yet now you expect her to clean up the mess. Why, many people in the courtyard lowered their heads. Zhang Wei sat in the corner, feeling as if he had been stripped naked. I looked at them and said, word by word, I can accept a sincere apology, but I will not swallow a mistake that is not mine, just to save anyone's face. 6. I thought that by this point, Zhang Wei would have learned to keep a low profile, but I still underestimated his shamelessness. That very night, an anonymous expose post appeared on the campus forum. The title is, Exposing the Ultimate Rich Girl in My Class, Who Made the Whole Class Run in Circles During the Graduation Trip. In the post, I became the rich girl with a privileged background, arrogant and domineering. I unilaterally booked outrageously expensive flight tickets, and after being reminded by the teacher and classmates, I flew into a rage and switched the whole class to 3 days of hard-seat train travel. I flew by plane, stayed in a hotel, and posted on social media to show off, even deliberately mocking the whole class for their awkwardness. Though no name was mentioned throughout, it was clearly pointing at me. People below who didn't know the truth were already raging with anger. This girl is so disgusting, isn't she? Expose her, make her go viral. Rich people really know how to bully ordinary classmates. Si's voice trembled with anger. It must be Zhang Wei. Is he crazy? How dare he post at a time like this? After reading the post, I actually laughed. He's not the crazy one, it's that he thought I would still be like in my previous life, without backing up evidence, without a methodical way to fight back, only to be led around by him. I turned on my computer and started organizing the evidence piece by piece. Chat record of Zhang Wei proactively entrusting me to book tickets. Screenshot of him falsely accusing me in the group chat without asking about the price. Screenshot of teacher Lu following the trend and making a judgment. Details of the 388 yuan special flight ticket order, train ticket order. Screenshot of the private small group chat sent by Wang Jing. Also, the web archive evidence of Zhang Wei's anonymous posts. I organized the entire incident into a long article using a timeline. The title is simple, Regarding the Graduation Trip. I only speak with evidence. Anonymous poster Zhang Wei. Do you dare to come out and confront me? I am posting under my real name. First piece of evidence, Zhang Wei proactively asked me to take charge of booking the tickets. Second piece of evidence, the tickets I managed to book cost an average of 388 yuan per person. Third piece of evidence, Zhang Wei, without knowing the price, incited classmates in a private group chat to attack me in advance. Fourth piece of evidence, teacher Lu did not investigate the facts and directly accused me in the group chat. Fifth piece of evidence, I switched to hard seat tickets, following their requirement for economical and practical travel. Finally, I wrote, I will not accept any attempt to turn black into white. I will no longer give anyone the chance to use me as a scapegoat. If classmate Zhang Wei insists that I slandered you, please come forward with evidence and confront me openly under your real name. Less than half an hour after the post was published, the forum exploded. The administrator pinned and highlighted my reply. The original post title was changed to Reversal, Complete Evidence Chain of the Graduation Trip Incident. Public opinion instantly reversed. Damn, so the class monitor was the one stirring things up. 388 yuan for a plane ticket is still considered expensive. Isn't this like complaining after getting a bargain? Is the homeroom teacher too out of line, scolding students without even asking for the facts? Zhang Wei, come out and face it. Don't pretend to be dead. The entire forum is tagging Zhang Wei. He doesn't dare to come out. The anonymous account also hasn't made any more moves. I sent the forum link, evidence package, and web certification to both the school's academic affairs office and the grade director at the same time. In my previous life, I was stopped on my way to find a teacher with my phone. This time, I won't hand over the initiative to anyone again. 7. The next day, Zhang Wei did not leave his room. Teacher Lu also did not show up. Vice Monitor Li Hao brought over a dozen people to apologize to me. They stood in the courtyard of the inn, heads bowed one by one, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Li Hao spoke first. Linshi, I'm sorry, we didn't get the facts straight before and just followed Zhang Wei's lead. It was really stupid of us to criticize you after all the effort you put into getting the tickets. The others also bowed in apology. Sorry, I looked at them. This scene didn't happen in my previous life. In my previous life, they pretended to be dead on the forum, avoiding me in reality, and no one dared to come to my funeral. In this life, the evidence forced them to face the truth. I nodded. I accept your apology, but I also hope you remember, blind obedience is not innocence. You can be swayed by the tide once, but you can't forever hand your brain over to others. Li Hao nodded heavily. We understand. Just then, Zhang Wei squeezed his way out from behind the crowd. His face was pale, his eyes bloodshot. As if he hadn't slept all night, he lowered his head, his voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Linshi, I'm sorry. I crossed my arms and looked at him. Why are you apologizing? He froze. I shouldn't have said that about you in the group chat. Anything else? I shouldn't have posted on the forum. And what else? His expression grew increasingly grim. I finished the sentence for him. You shouldn't have deliberately incited classmates to attack me in a private group just to maintain your authority as class monitor. You shouldn't have posted anonymously after the truth had already spread. Trying to nail me to the pillar of shame. You shouldn't even think that a simple sorry at this point would make me let it go. I look into his eyes. Jiang Wei, you don't know you're wrong. You just realized you've lost. So, I don't accept your apology. He couldn't speak. No one around spoke up for him in my previous life. When he cornered me in the stairwell, he stood in front of me just like this, but back then, behind him was the tacit approval, the silence, and the cold indifference of everyone watching me. This time, there was no one behind him. For the next few days, Jiang Wei completely became invisible. No one invited him to eat, no one waited for him during activities, and no one wanted to be in a group with him. Some people said he was pitiful. I didn't respond. Pitiful. He is merely reaping what he sowed. If I hadn't been reborn in this life, hadn't backed up the evidence in advance, and hadn't fought back quickly enough, I would be the one isolated, insulted, and cyberbullied today. I am no saint, nor do I intend to gently return the knife handed to me by others. 8. On the day of my return trip, at the airport, I ran into Jiang Wei and the few people who had been the most vocal in stirring things up. They stood at the check-in counter with dark circles under their eyes, looking disheveled and exhausted. Everyone is holding a newly purchased return ticket, over 1,500, full-price economy class. That's nearly 4 times more expensive than the 388 yuan I managed to snag back then. I dragged my suitcase past them. Someone saw me. Their face turned red instantly, and they lowered their head to avoid looking. Jiang Wei also saw me. There was resentment and embarrassment in his eyes. I wasn't mocking him. I just gave him a polite smile. That smile hurt him more than any sarcasm could. It reminded him that he had personally destroyed what was originally the best choice. The day after returning home, the school's decision was announced. Teacher Liu was publicly criticized by the entire school for showing serious bias and negligence in handling student conflicts, resulting in negative consequences. Her eligibility for the Annual Excellence Award was revoked. Jiang Wei's previously guaranteed nomination for the Municipal Outstanding Graduate Award was also withdrawn. The reason was bad conduct, maliciously spreading rumors about classmates, causing a negative impact among students. When Siyu called me, she was so excited she almost lost her voice. Cici, it's amazing. He worked hard all year in Senior 3 just for that outstanding graduate award, and now it's all gone. I listened, but my heart didn't really react much. Not unhappy, it's just that in this lifetime, I finally witnessed the wicked pay the price with my own eyes, and instead, I feel everything is only natural. Later, Jiang Wei sent me many friend requests through mutual friends. Linchi, I'm sorry, I was truly wrong. Please show some mercy. Outstanding graduates are very important to me. Could you please tell the school that we've already reconciled? I read them one by one and rejected all of them. In his previous life, when he trampled my life into the mud, he showed no mercy. Why should I beg fate for him just because he offers an apology? I blocked all his contact information, then compile all the evidence related to this farce and save it into a cloud drive folder. The folder name is It's Over. 9. In July, the admission letter arrived. It was my favorite school. My mom held me, laughing until she started crying. My dad said, "What's there to cry about?" But when he turned and went into the kitchen, he wiped his eyes several times. That night, I sat alone in my room and turned on my phone. Everything that needed to be cleaned up has been cleaned up. I'll delete Jiang Wei first, then Lu teacher, and then those who cursed the most fiercely in the group, only to later pretend nothing happened. Not a single one left. I opened my moments, those travel photos set to visible only to certain groups were still quietly lying there. Snow-capped mountains, hot pot, swimming pool, airplane, night view of the ancient city. The scenery is beautiful, but once it's tainted by the shadow of those people, it's no longer pure. I deleted everything. In the end, my social media feed was left completely blank. I type out a line of text, "Hello, new life." Click send. In my previous life, I never managed to escape the shadow of that graduation trip until the day I died. This life, I buried it with my own hands. I understood one thing: not everyone deserves your kindness, and not every misunderstanding is worth exhausting yourself to explain. Some people missed the special offer of a 388 yuan plane ticket and could only endure a 3-day, 2-night journey on a hard seat. Some people missed the grace others offered them and could only be stripped bare by the truth and left under the sun. As for me, I will no longer pay the price for their lives. On the first day of school, I walked into the new campus, pulling my suitcase behind me. The wind in September is very clean, and the plane tree leaves sway gently in the sunlight. Siyu sent me a message. Cici, happy with your new life? I smiled and replied, happy new life. then turn off the phone, look up, and move forward. This time, I won't look back. 10. Before the new school started, I thought my entanglement with Class 2, grade 12 was completely over. People like Zhang Wei are not good at admitting their mistakes. Instead, they excel at framing their mistakes as someone else's responsibility. The third day after the school's disciplinary action, Teacher Lu called me. I looked at the caller ID on the screen and didn't answer immediately. In my previous life, I dreaded her calls the most. As soon as she spoke, it was always, "The teacher is doing this for your own good," followed by demands for me to back down, apologize, and retract the evidence. This time around, I turned on the recorder before answering the call. On the other end of the line, Teacher Lu's voice was much lower than when we were traveling. "Linshi, the teacher wants to talk to you," I replied calmly. "Go ahead," she sighed. This time, the school's handling was a bit harsh. "Zhang Wei's outstanding graduate title has been revoked, and I've been reprimanded as well. The teacher knows you're upset, but things have escalated to this point, and it's not good for anyone involved." I didn't say anything. Seeing that I didn't respond, she continued, "You see, you're about to go to college. Let the high school stuff be in the past. Can you write a statement saying this was just a misunderstanding among classmates? That way, the school can give Zhang Wei a way out." I smiled. "Teacher Lu, do you still think this is a misunderstanding?" There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. I said slowly, "Zhang Wei inciting classmates to gang up on me in a private group chat. Is that a misunderstanding? He posted anonymous rumors about me on the campus forum. Is that a misunderstanding? You publicly accused me of being inconsiderate and undermining unity without even knowing the ticket price. Is that also a misunderstanding? If all of these are misunderstandings, then tell me, what qualifies as malice?" Teacher Lu's breathing noticeably quickened. "Linshi, why are you being so sharp? 10 now. The teacher has already been disciplined, and you should know when to stop. Know when to stop." I moved the phone a little farther away, looking at the red dot on the recording interface. In my previous life, I knew all too well when to stop. I didn't say those words out loud. I just replied to her coldly, "Teacher Lu, if you're here to apologize, I'm willing to listen, but if you're here to ask me to withdraw the evidence, that's unnecessary. Also, I'm recording this. Every word you've just said, I've saved." The line went dead instantly. A few seconds later, she hung up hastily. I saved the recording, naming it Teacher Lu's Second Pressure. I may not use it, but I had to have it, because I knew too well that once a person has tasted the feeling of being cornered, they understand that evidence is not meant to attack others. Evidence is a talisman. That same evening, Zhang Wei's mother also came to my mother. She somehow got my mom's WeChat and sent a long message. First, she said Zhang Wei had always been outstanding since childhood and that this was just a momentary lapse in judgment. Then, she mentioned that being an outstanding graduate would be helpful for independent admissions and university awards, and that a child's future shouldn't be ruined just like that. Finally, she shifted the focus and started blaming me. "Your Linshi is just too unforgiving when she's in the right. A girl being so fierce will only bring her trouble once she enters society." My mother's face flushed with anger as she handed me her phone. "What does she mean? Her son harmed you, and she's blaming you for not being gentle enough." I took a screenshot of the chat history and saved it. Then I replied using my mom's phone, "Hello, it wasn't me who ruined Zhang Wei's future. He ruined it himself by spreading rumors. If you continue to harass my mother, I will submit the chat records to the school as well. Also, my daughter doesn't need to rely on enduring humiliation to establish herself in society. Her intelligence and evidence are more than enough." After sending the message, there was no reply from the other side. My mother looked at me and suddenly smiled, seeing "You like this now, Mom can rest assured." I hugged her. "From now on, I can rest assured." 11. See you later sent me screenshots of the follow-up in the travel group, without me in the group. It was noisier than a vegetable market. Someone asked Zhang Wei to refund the price difference. "If it weren't for your spreading rumors, everyone could have taken the 388 flight. Now we have to endure the hard seats on the way there and spend another 1,500 on the return flight. You should be responsible for this expense." Zhang Wei initially remained stubborn. "The ticket was refunded by Linshi. Go talk to her." Someone immediately shot back, "Why did she quit? Weren't you the one leading the group and insulting her? You checked the wrong ticket price and then blamed her for a flight costing over 1,000. Aren't you the class monitor? You didn't even confirm the price, yet you led the whole class into action. Now why are you pretending to be innocent?" Someone else posted a screenshot of his private group chat again. Zhang Wei fell completely silent. In the end, even Teacher Lu didn't come out to defend him anymore. This trip was like a mirror that reveals true nature. It revealed Zhang Wei's hypocrisy, Teacher Lu's favoritism, and also exposed the blind obedience deep within many people. Of course, it also revealed who still had a bit of clarity. Wang Jing later asked to meet me alone. She pushed a cup of milk tea in front of me and said in a low voice, "Linshi, I know it's probably too Late to say anything now, but I still want to apologize to you in person. I didn't touch the cup of milk tea, just stared at her. Her face turned bright red. Actually, when Zhang Wei said those things about you in the small group that day, I hesitated. I knew you weren't like that, and I also knew you were very serious about making the travel plan. Everyone in the group was cursing, so I didn't dare speak up. Later, I even chimed in with a comment like, let's get the facts straight first. But it quickly got buried in the flood of messages, so I backed off. She looked up at me, her eyes reddening. I'm not here to ask for your forgiveness, I just want you to know that I won't act like that again. I fell silent for a moment. Wang Jing, silence is sometimes a choice. She nodded. I know, but you sent me the screenshot later. I looked at her and said slowly, word by word, I remember this, so I don't blame you. But we can't go back to the way things were. She gave a bitter smile. I understand. We didn't talk much more. When leaving the milk tea shop, she stood at the door and waved to me. I waved back. Some relationships don't need to be openly broken, but there's no need to pretend to be close anymore. 12. At the end of August, I went to school to complete the final file procedures. The stairwell of the teaching building was exactly the same as in my previous life, cement steps, old handrails, and the red fire hydrant in the corner of the wall. In my last life, I had collided. Right here, that day, I was clutching my phone, which contained orders and transaction records enough to prove my innocence. Zhang Wei stopped me and said that if I deleted the evidence, he would pretend nothing had happened. I refused. His face changed, and he reached up to grab it. I took a step back, and he lunged forward. Then, the world spun around. The impact was so heavy that I didn't even have time to cry out in pain. After being reborn, I have always avoided coming near this place, but today, standing here, I suddenly realized I wasn't as scared as I had imagined. Footsteps approached from behind. I turned around and saw Zhang Wei standing at the bottom of the stairs. He had lost a lot of weight, and his whole demeanor was gloomy. He was clutching a file folder, apparently also here to handle some paperwork. Seeing me, he visibly stiffened. I did not hide. My phone was recording, and there was a small voice recorder in my bag. The surveillance camera at the end of the hallway was pointed directly at us this time. If he dares to lay a hand on me again, I'll make sure he has no way out. Zhang Wei clearly saw the surveillance footage too. He stood a few steps away from me, his lips moving slightly. Linshi, I looked at him indifferently. Something wrong. A flicker of resentment passed through his eyes, and his voice dropped low. Are you satisfied now? My reputation as an outstanding graduate is ruined. The forum is full of insults, and even the teachers have stopped caring about me. That wasn't caused by me. Who else could it be but you? He suddenly raised his voice, then seemed to remember something and forcefully suppressed it. If you had just posted the price of 388 in the first place, things wouldn't have turned out this way. I looked at him and suddenly felt it was absurd. Zhang Wei, don't you understand yet? Whether I explained it immediately or not doesn't change the fact that you're spreading rumors. I have no obligation to gently teach you what verification means after being slandered by you. You're an adult now, and you must face the consequences of your mistakes. His eyes turned fierce. Do you think you're particularly impressive? I gently shook my phone. Are you going to continue? I'm recording. His expression changed instantly. I walked past him and headed toward the academic affairs office. As we passed each other, I paused for a moment. Zhang Wei, do you know what the most pathetic thing about you is? You never think you're wrong. You only hate that. You didn't win. There was no sound from behind. This time, he didn't dare to follow me. I walked into the academic affairs office, submitted the documents, and retrieved my file. As I signed, the teacher in charge glanced at me, her tone somewhat complicated. Linshi, the school has already understood what happened before. Once you get to university, study hard. I nodded. Yes, I will. When I walked out of the teaching building, the sun was just setting on the steps. I glanced down at the fire hydrant. It still burns red, glaringly bright, but in this life, it is no longer my end. It merely reminds me, don't be soft-hearted, don't hand over evidence to the wicked to seize, don't expect those who have hurt you to suddenly have a change of heart. 13. The night before school started, I packed my luggage, clothes, documents, admission letter, common medicines, and that old portable hard drive. The hard drive holds all the evidence of this graduation trip. I had intended to format it, but when the cursor hovered over the delete button, I paused. It's not that I'm reluctant to part with it, I just know that some wounds don't need to be reopened every day, but we can't pretend they never existed. I put the hard drive in the bottom drawer. Don't take it away, nor destroy it, just let it lie there quietly. The next day, my parents took me to the station. My mom stuffed a bag of pre-cut fruit into my hands, while my dad pushed the suitcase to my side and said casually, don't be afraid when you get to School, call me if anything happens. If you're short on money, just say so. Don't be like those fools who trap themselves in hardship and still think it's noble. I laughed out loud. Got it. Before the ticket check, I turned back and glanced at them. Sunlight streamed down from the glass ceiling of the waiting hall, falling upon their hair. At this moment, I suddenly felt extremely grateful that I had a second chance. Grateful that I no longer wasted time explaining or trying to please. Fortunately, I held on to myself and also protected them as the train started moving. So you sent me a message, Shishi. I'm on my way to. See you at university. I replied, see you at university. The city slowly recedes outside the window. I think of that discounted plane ticket I returned. In my previous life, I died under the stigma that others forced upon me. In this life, I made them sit on hard seats for 3 days and 2 nights, and I let them see with their own eyes what they had missed. This isn't cruelty, this is justice. A new life is never given by others as charity. I walked out of that muddy place with my own 2 feet, and I, finally, walked out 14 on the day of university enrollment. I no longer hid myself, for girls in the dorm came from different cities. On their first meeting, everyone was busy making their beds, exchanging snacks, and complaining about military training. My roommate asked me if I had gone anywhere during the summer vacation. I thought for a moment, then smiled and said, I went to the land of colorful clouds. They immediately gathered around, asking me about the itinerary, routes, hotels, and flight tickets. I sent them the reorganized travel guide document. The document contained no mention of Zhang Wei, no teacher Lu, and no 3-day, 2-night hard seat journey, only a clear budget sheet, sightseeing routes, tips to avoid pitfalls, and the best times to snag discounted tickets. One roommate, after reading it, exclaimed in amazement, "You're really good at planning. If someone in our class were in charge, how much trouble we could save." I was taken aback for a moment, then smiled. Yes, my seriousness was never wrong to begin with. The fault lies with those who enjoyed my efforts, only to trample on me in return. In the evening, so you called me via video. Her dorm was noisy, with someone in the background calling her to go eat late-night snacks. She leaned closer to the camera and whispered softly, "Cece, something suddenly occurred to me today." "What is it? Did we used to worry too much about upsetting others?" I laughed. She continued, "Back in my senior year of high school, if anyone said I was not fitting in, I would panic. Now, looking back, what's wrong with not fitting in? Not fitting in with fools is protecting your intelligence." I was amused by her. "Congratulations, you've attained enlightenment." She also smiled. After the video call ended, I sat by the balcony, gazing at the night view of the unfamiliar city. That past farce was drifting further and further away from me, but the lesson it left behind is like a clear line, drawing boundaries for me. From now on, whoever respects my labor, I will respond with sincerity. Whoever tries to blackmail me with morality, I will put the rope back around their neck just as it was. 15. In mid-September, the school's official account suddenly published an article. The title was, "Follow-up Report on the Graduation Trip Incident." Only after clicking into it did I realize that the incident involving Class 2 of the 3rd year of high school had not been completely suppressed. The school had established an investigation team to re-examine the class group chats, forum posts, and the teacher's handling process. The notice didn't mention me by name, but every sentence was about that incident. Student cadre Zhang Muma made seriously false statements during an organizational activity, maliciously incited classmates' emotions, and caused damage to their reputations. Class teacher Lu Muma made biased remarks without verifying the facts, failing to fulfill the duty of fairness in educational management. The school will further strengthen training for student cadres and the development of teachers' ethics and professional conduct. So you sent me the link, officially approved. So satisfying. I only replied with rather than feeling satisfied. I felt a sense of relief, as if a heavy burden had finally been lifted. In my previous life, after I died, the school issued a similar notice back then. However, the notice stated that student Lin died due to personal emotional issues. Those few words lightly attributed my death to my own instability, but in this life, the black and white text has finally made the real issue clear. I saved that notification, not to keep dwelling on it, but to remind myself, the truth never walks out on its own. It requires evidence, requires counterattacks, requires you to pull it out from the lies of others. Soon after, Li Hao also sent me a message. He said that Zhang Wei dropped out of the student council election shortly after the start of the semester. Originally, he had hoped to continue serving as a student leader in college based on his high school record as an outstanding graduate and class president, but an old forum post from his school was unearthed by incoming freshmen. Someone in the election group directly asked him, "Are you the class monitor who thought the 388 yuan plane ticket was too expensive and made the whole class sit on hard seats?" For 3 days, Zhang Wei logged off immediately and never appeared again. Li Hao asked me, "Do you think that was too harsh?" I looked at the sentence and replied quickly, "No, it's not because I'm ruthless that he can't make it. It's because what he did can't stand being known by others." Li Hao took a long time to reply, "I understand." I closed the chat window, the phone screen dimmed, reflecting my face calm, clear, free from the suffocating humiliation of my previous life. This is the result I wanted. Not every villain will weep and repent. Some people will never believe they were wrong, but it's okay. I don't need their confession. I just want them never to be able to step on me again. To climb higher. 16. Before National Day, my roommate and I managed to grab a batch of discounted tickets to the seaside, also around 300 this time. No one questioned whether I was showing off my wealth, nor did anyone accuse me of being domineering. They just kept flooding the group chat with messages. "Lin, she is amazing. Is this price for real, sis? From now on, you're our one and only travel god." I stared at the screen and laughed for a long time. It turns out this is what it feels like to be taken seriously. Before leaving, I sent all the orders, budget, and backup plans to the group. My roommate quickly transferred the money to me, and even added extra for milk tea. Someone said, "Thank you for your hard work." I stared at those 4 characters, suddenly feeling a warmth in my eyes. In my previous life, that was all I ever wanted to hear, but no one ever said it back then. In this life, I finally understand. It's not that I'm not worthy, it's that they are unworthy. On the day we went to the seaside, the plane pierced through the clouds, sunlight spreading across the wings. I leaned against the window, recalling that flight to the land of colorful clouds. At that time, I set out with a cold sense of revenge. This time, I just went to see the sea. No one needs to be humiliated, no one needs to be punished, and no one takes my efforts for granted. After the plane landed, the roommates excitedly rushed toward the sea breeze. I followed behind them, hearing the waves surge up layer by layer. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was a photo sent by Siu. She was also in a new city, having hot pot with new friends. She said, "Cece, we're all doing well." I looked up at the distant sea. "So clean and blue, so bright and dazzling." I replied, "Yes, we are all doing well. This is the best ending. It's not about making everyone regret, nor about making everyone kneel and apologize. Instead, I finally am no longer trapped by those miserable people. They continue to pay for their narrow-mindedness and stupidity. I keep moving forward. From now on, mountains high and seas wide, we are no longer connected." After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My sister-in-law is a show-off. After she found a wealthy boyfriend, she announced that he would take us to northern Myanmar for the May Day holiday. I felt that northern Myanmar was unsafe, so I warned everyone. She accused me of being jealous that she had found a rich man and not wanting her to marry into a good family. She also said that I, as the daughter-in-law, didn't want the elderly to see the world. My in-laws got angry and hit me, and my husband didn't stand up for me. Helpless, I had no choice but to hide their passports. In the end, they couldn't go, and the man broke up with her. My sister-in-law grew to hate me and, together with my in-laws, persecuted me and sent me to northern Myanmar, where I suffered and died. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day before they were set to leave for northern Myanmar. My sister-in-law yelled at me angrily, "Then just don't go. You don't know how to appreciate a good thing." I laughed and said, "All right, then you and your family can go enjoy the good life." In the 3-bedroom apartment, over a dozen aunties sat crowded on the sofa, noisily cracking sunflower seeds and casually eating cherries that cost hundreds of yuan. The woman they surrounded looked very pleased with herself. "Oh, old Wu, I'm really envious of you. You have such a beautiful daughter, and she even takes you abroad for trips." "That's right. Who says you have to have a son?" Daughters can be just as caring toward their parents. As soon as she found a boyfriend, she had him take you two abroad. Your daughter is really impressive. Sigh, I've never been abroad before. Do I need to get a passport? I looked at the time displayed on my phone and, hearing their words, realized that I had been reborn. It's almost Labor Day, and my show-off sister-in-law told the neighborhood aunties that her boyfriend is taking their whole family on an overseas trip. She also mentioned that her boyfriend bought her a new phone and even got her 3 boxes of cherries that cost hundreds per pound. So, the aunties came over to eat the cherries and ask about their travel plans. They were all envious, but I was just glad to be reborn. The suffering I endured in the industrial park in my past life, it's their turn to experience it now. They want to go to northern Myanmar for fun, right? Well, let them go. There's no stopping them anyway. My sister-in-law's mocking voice rang out. Yeah. Unlike some people who say it's unsafe abroad, they just Don't want my parents to broaden their horizons. Everyone looked at me, even my husband, who was peeling an apple, looked displeased. After all, he also wanted to go abroad. He was the only one in the village who had been overseas, and when he came back, he'd have plenty to brag about while drinking with his buddies. I looked at them hesitantly and said, many countries really aren't safe, especially in Southeast Asia. My sister-in-law immediately stood up and yelled at me, then don't go, you just don't know how to appreciate a good thing. I nodded, all right, then you all go and enjoy your blessings, I won't be joining. I was also playing my part to the fullest, so if anything happened, everyone could testify that I had warned them. They just didn't listen. Of course, I knew they wouldn't listen. Sure enough, my sister-in-law's face was full of mockery. A few aunties tried to ease the awkwardness, but my mother-in-law and father-in-law didn't seem too pleased. As if my response had embarrassed them, my husband was also glaring at me with fire in his eyes, and now I no longer care. Having been reborn, I want to stay away from these people and live my life well. It wasn't until a year after marrying Barrett that I truly understood what it meant to jump from the wolf's den into the tiger's lair. My family background was not good. My mother passed away from illness when I was 3, and my father remarried, giving me a stepmother and a younger brother. When my brother started middle school, I was forced to drop out and work. All the money I earned had to be sent home. If I didn't send it, my father would report me missing to the police. When the police found me at the factory, he would beat me, scold me for being ungrateful, and say I was worse than a dog. I had almost nowhere to escape. I couldn't hold my head up in front of everyone, but under such pressure, I still managed to save up my own little nest egg. At the age of 28, under the moral condemnation of everyone, I married Barrett from the neighboring village. Because his family was poor and couldn't afford the high bride prices of other families, he had to exchange 2 plots of land for a wife, and my father really did need those 2 plots of land, saying they were to build a new house for my brother. I saw that he was honest and willing to work hard, so I married him. After marrying into this family, I thought I had finally escaped that parasitic household. Barrett and I went out to work, and through a stroke of luck, we earned our first pot of gold, bought this 3-bedroom apartment, and moved the whole family to the city. And within that year, we also opened a small clothing processing factory. I started selling products through live streaming online, and with the experience I've gained from working over the years, I gradually improved my situation. However, my sister-in-law is not easy to get along with. She has high standards and, because of her good looks, she claims she wants to marry a wealthy man and become the wife of a CEO. She's even deluded herself into thinking she can get pregnant with the CEO's child and run away with the baby, but she truly makes the household chaotic. I don't even complain about her not cooking, washing dishes, or cleaning, but she also enjoys driving a wedge between me, my mother-in-law, and my husband. My husband is also a very confusing person. After getting married, he suddenly realized how hard his mother had it. I come home exhausted from working myself to death at the factory, while his mother and sister are at home making TikTok videos, yet he yells at me for not cooking, saying it's hard for his mother to do it all alone. I immediately fired back. Before I married you, your mother took care of your entire family by herself, and you never realized how hard she had it. Now that we're married, you suddenly understand her struggles. Get this straight, your mother's hardships weren't caused by me. They were caused by you grown-up babies. That day, my father-in-law angrily smashed a teacup. I just went straight into our bedroom. This is my and my husband's house. I'm not going anywhere. If anyone has to leave, it should be them. My mother-in-law was cursing loudly in the living room. A hen that can't lay eggs, yet crows louder than a rooster. My sister-in-law chimed in. Exactly. Do you really think you're so great? If it weren't for my brother, could you even live in such a big house? You dare to be fierce with us. Get this straight. You're the outsider here, eh? Motherless thing with no upbringing. If you can't give my brother a child, he'll find someone else to do it. Women lining up to have his child could stretch all the way from here to Wanda Plaza. I rushed out, grabbed her, and gave her a beating. I'm done holding back. Just like when I used to fight with my stepmother, no one took my side. My in-laws hit and kicked me, and my husband even gave me a couple of kicks, saying I didn't respect his parents. If the neighbors hadn't heard the commotion and come to break it up, I might have been beaten to death that night. For a long time after that, I stayed at the factory. My husband tried to coax me a few times, and my in-laws came to apologize. Although I held a grudge in my heart, I knew that if I got a divorce now, I would get nothing, not even a place to go back to in my own family. I had no choice but to keep it in mind for the time being. I returned home yesterday to find that my sister-in-law had found a boyfriend. She said he lives in the city center, drives a Rolls-Royce whenever he goes out, and even brought him home. The man was handsome, treated my sister-in-law with great care, and even cooked and washed dishes at home. When the atmosphere was just right, he mentioned that he would take our whole family to Myanmar for the May Day holiday. As soon as I heard Myanmar, I became alert, but the rest of the family was very excited, especially my sister-in-law. who went around the neighborhood with her boyfriend, telling everyone she was going abroad yesterday. The man had already booked flights and a hotel for our entire family today. My sister-in-law came to show off again. She has already posted 8 updates on her social media. This morning, the man took her shopping, bought her an LV bag and a Longines watch. Even her elementary school classmates, whom she hasn't contacted in ages, received her messages. You know what? He's really so gentle. I always said that waiting a bit longer to get married would help me find someone better. Oh my, you're still at home taking care of the kids. My husband said that in the future, our children will be taken care of by a nanny. For every child I give birth to, he'll give me $1 million. He said the reason for going to Southeast Asia this time is that the flights are easier to book, and the Maldives is fully booked. He'll take us to the Maldives during the National Day holiday and has already booked tickets to Karavi Island in advance. You don't know about Karavi Island. It costs around $70,000 to $80,000 per person to go there, but there's no other way. My husband is very wealthy and doesn't want me or my parents to feel shortchanged. Just like now, my response, all right, then you and your family go enjoy your luxury vacation. It seemed to have struck a nerve with her. Her eyes were filled with hatred toward me. She stomped her foot and immediately called her boyfriend. In front of everyone, she put on a coquettish tone, honey, cancel my sister-in-law's ticket, she's not going. Don't ask why. Some people just can't appreciate the finer things in life. They have no idea how beautiful it is abroad and are only fit to be corporate slaves in this small town for the rest of their lives. On the other end, he sounded confused and asked a few more questions before reluctantly agreeing to cancel the ticket. I didn't want to listen to them argue any longer, so I went into my room to rest later. My sister-in-law said her boyfriend would come over, bringing food from a 5-star restaurant, so we didn't need to cook. Despite this, she still posted on her social media, about to go on a trip to Southeast Asia with my husband, and he still has to see me every day, so clingy. Not long after, the man arrived, indeed carrying quite a bit of food, but it didn't look like it was from a 5-star restaurant at all. I was happy not to have to cook, so I just ate a little. And my sister-in-law posted on her social media again, food made by a Michelin 3-star chef, so delicious. Girls, if I get the chance, I'll take you there to try it in person. It's really amazing. I bet some people will never get to taste it in their entire lives. I rolled my eyes. How blind must I have been in my past life to even think about stopping them from going abroad, given the current situation. I can't wait for them to leave tomorrow. I thought about my situation in my past life, already married, with no family to rely on. If something really happened to them in Myanmar, I'd be left all alone and miserable again. But only after dying once did I realize that in this world, the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. Thinking this way, I bought a lot of expensive cosmetics and bags. After all, these people are about to leave, and from now on, the money I earn will be spent only on myself. As long as they're not around, I can live quite comfortably even on a monthly income of $3,000. What's more, the factory is getting on the right track, and better days are waiting for me. After Barrett finished drinking with his future brother-in-law, his so-called friends invited him for another round. So, just as I was about to fall asleep, my mother-in-law knocked on my door. Go pick up Barrett, he's drunk. If it were any other time, I wouldn't have bothered, but I remembered that in my previous life, my in-laws had taken a taxi to pick him up, and I had hidden the passport while they were all out. That night, when Barrett was brought back, he had even injured his leg, supposedly from falling while getting into the taxi, and almost couldn't make it to Myanmar. I couldn't let him miss the trip. He absolutely had to go. I immediately got out of bed and drove to pick him up. My mother-in-law sneered at my straightforwardness, being so obedient. Are you hoping to go abroad with us? Let me tell you, the tickets have already been refunded. You chose not to go yourself, so don't regret it later. I glanced at her and said, as for the trip abroad, I can only wish you a smooth journey. Grabbing the car keys, I quickly left the house. My mother-in-law continued cursing and grumbling behind me, but I couldn't be bothered to pay any attention. Arriving at the food stall where Barrett and his friends often had late-night snacks, I saw his group of dubious companions. Just as I was about to approach, I heard Barrett wailing loudly, "You don't understand, I don't want to marry Doggy at all. I've always loved Fiona. I pursued her for 3 years in high school. After entering society, I chased her for another 10 years, but she had no choice and had to marry Tom. Now that Tom is dead, Fiona has even expressed that she likes me. Hick, I really want to get a divorce and bring Fiona home. If there had been a better choice back then, why would I have chosen Doggy? Now that I have money and I'm the factory director, of course I can marry Fiona. I want to marry her, give her $880,000 in betrothal gifts, and bring her home in a grand ceremony." His dubious friends chimed in, "Yeah, during those 3 years of high school, you bought her breakfast and washed her bike. We all saw it. What a shame. If it weren't for Doggy, maybe you and Fiona would have been together by now. and you might even have a few kids. She's such a slave to her brother. I heard she even paid for her brother's house. Any man who marries her is in for bad luck. Exactly. I wouldn't want her either. Fiona is such a wonderful woman. We support you in divorcing her and marrying Fiona instead. I stood quietly behind the large tree, listening. If it were me from my past life, I might have been heartbroken, not because I loved him, but because my life had been so absurd, never having been firmly chosen by anyone, never truly loved by anyone. Even the name Doggy was given in anticipation of the arrival of a younger brother. Some women truly lead pitiful lives. In their natal families, they sacrifice for their brothers or younger brothers, and when they marry, they don't receive a single penny of the bride price, yet they are still labeled as brother-dependent. Clearly, men are the ones who benefit, yet it is the women who get blamed. They talked for a long time until Barrett, who was weeping and expressing regret, passed out from drinking. Only then did they call me again, and I rushed over pretending I had just arrived. I stopped for gas on the way, which took a bit of time. They all grinned and called her sister-in-law, saying, "Sister-in-law, you've worked hard, coming out so late to pick up my brother. If I were him, I'd be over the moon to marry someone as wonderful as you." Absolutely, sister-in-law is both beautiful and capable. When you have time, you should mentor your younger sister-in-law in live streaming too. Marrying sister-in-law Doggy is truly a blessing that my brother Barrett has earned over 3 lifetimes. I watched their fake smiles. If these people went into acting, they'd all win Oscars. Birds of a feather flock together. These scoundrels are all cut from the same cloth. They helped Barrett into the car, and I drove away. They looked at each other in confusion. Barrett's gone. Who's going to pay? Why didn't his wife pay today? Let's split the bill for now, and we'll ask Barrett for the money tomorrow when he wakes up. Okay. I brought Barrett back to the underground parking lot, watching him sleep like a log behind me. I picked up his phone. When I opened the phone, the top contact wasn't me, but someone named Fiona. My darling, I knew about Fiona's existence because my sister-in-law always said I wasn't as beautiful as Fiona, not as gentle as her, and inferior to her in every way. But I also know that Fiona refused to marry Barrett back then because she thought his family was poor. There was no such thing as being forced into it. The man she married was the foolish son of the local richest family. He died some time ago, and the richest family also went bankrupt due to some incidents. She then started chatting with Barrett, who was acting like a simp. That's why people say men are just cheap. When I was set up with Barrett, he was all sweet talk. The more I ignored him, the harder he tried to win me over. But once he got me, he stopped caring. I looked at the chat history between the two and realized that this Fiona is no good either. She clearly knew Barrett had a wife, yet she still went on a date with him. They even had barbecue together today. Fiona had to leave early, otherwise Barrett wouldn't have asked me to pick him up. The chat history was both ambiguous and disgusting, but what caught my interest was that Fiona was actually planning to go with them to Myanmar for a trip. Fiona baby, your wife isn't going on an international trip. She really doesn't know how to enjoy life. Barrett, she's not worthy to go. Only the daughter-in-law recognized by our Davidson family can attend, so I've invited you. I'll have my brother-in-law buy the ticket right away. Our whole family welcomes you. Teasing / Fiona, my dear, you really are something. When are you going to get divorced? Barrett, I'll file for divorce right after May Day. I've been fed up with her for a long time. Fiona, my dear, really, what if she refuses? Barrett, how dare she? She holds the title of the Davidson family's young mistress but hasn't given birth to a legitimate heir for the Davidsons. If she doesn't leave, I'll break her legs. Baby Fiona, wow, hubby, you're amazing. Baby Fiona, oh my, how did I accidentally say what was on my mind? I'm so embarrassed. Barrett, I love hearing you call me hubby so much. Say it with your voice. They have the courage to talk about these things, but I don't even have the courage to finish reading it. No wonder scumbags and cheap women never part. They're made for each other, locked together forever in the park. Take pictures of all his chat records, and also the transfers he made to Fiona. Make sure to capture those too. If he manages to come back alive, I can still divorce him and at least get the money. Oh heavens, I, your humble servant, am willing to offer 30 pounds of fat in exchange for their family going to Myanmar and never coming back. I put his phone down and went home to sleep by myself. As for a heavy sleeper like Barrett, who was completely knocked out in the car, if I had tried to move him back home, his legs might not have broken, but mine surely would have, so I just let him sleep in the car. I had a good night's sleep, and the next day, Barrett sobered up and came upstairs on his own. He asked me why I let him sleep in the car, and I told him I couldn't move him. He didn't say anything more about it. It wasn't because he has a good temper, but because he had a favor to ask of me. Sure enough, while I was brushing my teeth, he hugged me from behind and said, "Honey, could you give me 50,000 from the money the factory paid out? I want to go to Myanmar to buy you a bracelet. You know how famous the jade is there, even though you Didn't go. I don't want to shortchange you. I forced myself to hold back the disgust. The payment from the platform won't arrive until 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'll transfer it to you then. Of course, I had to coax him first. I was really afraid he wouldn't go. I love you so much, honey. He was so excited he nearly jumped up. Later, pack some clothes for the trip. I'm going to check on the factory. Okay. Since I came back to life, I haven't been to the factory yet. I'll go later, as the most important thing right now is to send these troublemakers far, far away. My sister-in-law just came back early in the morning, covered in hickeys on her neck. She strutted around in front of me, saying, "Some people probably don't even know what it feels like to be kissed, right? Did I ever mention that John is 3 years younger than me? He's strong and healthy. Who knows, I might already be carrying his child." This gold bracelet on my wrist was bought by him, and the one on my mom's wrist. Too jealous, she held up her hand to admire it, looking incredibly smug. I nodded. "I envy you for finding such a great man, unlike me, who ended up with a dog." Her face turned green. "Are you saying my brother is a dog?" "I didn't say that, you said it yourself." I packed my clothes into the suitcase, folding them neatly, just like a burial shroud. My sister-in-law gritted her teeth, wanting to say something but swallowing it back. I could already guess, she was definitely going to bring up Fiona, saying that if I don't go, someone else will, and so on. She crossed her arms and said, "Doggy, I think you're being way too pretentious." I put Barrett's passport in his carry-on bag, worried that he might not be able to board the plane. Just wait until after May Day. I'll be the one watching you cry," she said as she walked to the living room. She then posted a photo of the ring on her finger and the hickeys on her body on her social media feed, with the caption, "Being loved so steadfastly is something others can only envy but never have." I really wanted to block her social media updates, but I was afraid I wouldn't get to see how she ends up failing, so I had no choice but to endure it. For the rest of the day, I was busy at the factory and didn't return home until evening, by which time the whole family had already gone to bed. I sat in the living room, hugging a pillow and laughing to myself. How wonderful! I was about to be free. Early the next morning, they set off. I saw them off at the door, and my sister-in-law's boyfriend, John, asked me why I wasn't going. "Sis, if you want to go, I can ask my friend to buy a ticket for you. It's too lonely for you to stay home alone. Come with us, I'll cover all the expenses for food, accommodation, and travel. Don't worry about the cost, no need." I smiled innocently. "You know how busy the factory is during May Day. We should sell as much as we can. Otherwise we'll take a big loss if the goods pile up, sis." He still wanted to persuade me. "John, don't bother with her. She just doesn't have that kind of luck. People like her will never see beyond their noses." Yeah, and she said Myanmar isn't safe. How short-sighted. Their country isn't at war and has no robbers, so where's the danger? Don't call her. Let's hurry up and go, or we'll miss our flight. John heard their words and gave me a deep look. That gaze made me a bit uneasy, as if I were being targeted by something. He then smiled and said, "Sis in-law, we'll be off now." Without looking back, he got into the car and drove away quickly. I watched their car drive away, a smile playing on my lips, but when I thought of John's gaze, a plan began to form in my mind. In the car at that moment, my sister-in-law sat in the passenger seat, admiring the beautiful vehicle. "We're going to pick up Fiona. She's waiting for us at the intersection of Youth Road." "All right," John replied, turning the car and heading toward Youth Road. The family was in high spirits, and Fiona seemed a bit shy as she got into the car. "Sorry to trouble you, Uncle Davidson, and your family, Fiona. We're absolutely thrilled that you're joining us on this trip abroad." "That's right, your uncle and I are both so happy. You've been through a lot these years." "Fiona, this is a gift from John. Here, put it on. It's something only my sister-in-law would have." Her sister-in-law stuck out her tongue playfully. Fiona blushed as she accepted the gold bracelet. "Thank you, John. You're not only handsome but also so thoughtful." She looked at John, her mind feeling a bit adrift. Her sister-in-law posted on her social media again, capturing the car emblem and the whole family. "Lincoln limousine service, let's go. Finally became the person I wanted to be, able to take my parents abroad for a trip. This is the purpose of my hard work. Everything is worth it." Fiona also knew she wasn't suitable to appear on camera, so she stayed in the background. When they arrived at the airport, John got everyone their tickets and then sent them through security. "I have a stomachache. I need to go to the restroom first. You all go wait for me at the boarding gate." "Okay." The group then took their passports and tickets to go through customs and security. In front of the customs checkpoint, the sister-in-law took out her phone to take photos and post on social media. "Going abroad, taking a photo with mom. Check out my big gold bracelet. So beautiful. Image slash. Just after posting, she was stopped by a police officer, who frowned and said, "No photography is allowed at the customs area. Please delete the photos." The sister-in-law glanced at him, sized him up, and snorted coldly, "What's there that can't be photographed? It's just such a small place, isn't it?" The police officer's face darkened. "Are you a spy? If you don't cooperate, we'll have to talk at the police station." Upon hearing that they would go to the police station, the sister-in-law wasn't originally afraid. After all, her boyfriend was wealthy and influential, but thinking it might delay her trip abroad, she reluctantly deleted the photos. She complained to her mother, "Just wait until I have money." She had no choice but to grudgingly proceed through customs. After they left, John made a phone call, his voice becoming very gentle. "Baby, I'm already at the airport. Where are you?" He turned to greet another girl, hugging her at the entrance, along with some of her friends and family. "Sorry, I was too busy to pick you up. You've had a tough time, baby." John stroked her hair, while the girl beside them covered her mouth and giggled. The girl whose hair he was stroking blushed and said, "It's fine. I know you're swamped with work. Let's go. It's time to board, baby. I'll be sitting in first class later, so I might not be able to stay with you. Please take good care of my little fool," he said, taking out a gold bracelet from his pocket, one for each person. Wow. The girls took them, looking at their friend with envy. "Your husband is so thoughtful. This is too extravagant." The girl blushed shyly, playfully hitting John's chest. Her face flushed. "Don't call me a little dummy." All right, my clever little one. Hurry and go get your ticket. Pass through security and customs. I need to use the restroom first. I rushed over from the office today and haven't had a chance to go." "Okay." The girl looked at him reluctantly. John blew her a kiss, then walked into the restroom. He came out a moment later and went to pick up the others. Finally, he made a call. "I've arranged everything. The targets all have trackers on them. Don't make any mistakes." "Yes." John checked the time and headed to board the flight. This was the result of several months of hard work, and he had to deliver it to the boss in person. A few of them are of good quality and worth quite a bit of money. He curled his lips into a slight smile. "It's a shame about that doggy. He looked so healthy. His organs must have been excellent. Maybe there will be another chance next time." Back at the factory, I saw my sister-in-law's quickly deleted WeChat post. She even dared to take photos of customs. Utterly lawless. "Isn't this place clearly marked as a no-photo zone? What a show-off." While organizing the shipping orders, I kept refreshing her social media feed. At the boarding gate, she posted, "Oh dear, my seat is in the third row. The first row is boarding first. Too bad I didn't manage to get a first-class seat. My husband said he'll buy me a first-class ticket next time. The planes outside are taking off. Nothing new to see here." On the plane, she posted, "So many people, all heading to Myanmar for vacation, who said Myanmar isn't safe. Such narrow-mindedness. About to take off. Wishing myself a smooth journey. Let's chat after I land. Bye." And at the same time, my husband, who never posts on social media, also shared a post. "The stars in the sky, the moon in my eyes, none compare to the one by my side." It was accompanied by a picture of him holding a pair of beautiful hands. Many people commented, "Wow, living the good life again, bro. Wow, traveling with the wife, making up for the honeymoon. That's really nice. I'm so envious of you all. How's the factory going? If there's potential, take me along, bro." I smiled. He had actually blocked me, but yesterday I used his phone to remove myself from the restricted list so she couldn't see it. Seeing them really take off, the heavy stone in my heart finally settled, and I focused on handling matters at the factory. Besides the clothing factory, I also want to open a handbag factory. Women can never have too many clothes and bags. Without hesitation, I made a plan. During the live stream, I promoted a few bags from other brands, and the results were quite good. Because I knew how the future would unfold, I seized the opportunity ahead of time. There are a few small influencers who are still relatively unknown now, but it won't be long before the web series they filmed is released, and they'll instantly become famous. So I seized this opportunity to contact them and have them promote products. For those who haven't made it big yet, earning a little extra money is never too much. Throughout the entire May Day holiday, I traveled all over City C, found a new factory, and poured all the money I earned from the clothing factory into it. To be honest, I'm quite a stingy person. Investing all the money I've saved over the years in one go still feels a bit hard to let go of. If it were the me from my past life, I definitely wouldn't have had the courage to do this, but thankfully, I'm no longer that person from my past life. During the 5-day May Day holiday, I contacted friends and used financial and material resources to get all the factory certificates in order. I even mortgaged the house I currently live in loans. Opening the factory, live streaming, sourcing materials, finding designs, I handled everything myself. The feeling of being alive and free is truly wonderful. My sister-in-law still posts on her social media every day, but starting from the post after takeoff, I feel that all the subsequent posts have been a bit off. Australian lobster, so fragrant, love it, image / one of her friends commented below, wait, isn't this a stock photo? You're posting stock photos, are you really eating it? But I knew it wasn't her anymore. It was the people from the compound using their phones to post, because if it were really her, she would have called me long ago to ask for money. After all, I promised to pay Barrett back, but I still haven't given him the money. He hasn't asked for it either. He just posts a WeChat Moments update every couple of days. He posts photos of himself gambling on raw stones, squatting next to the rocks with a fake smile. As for my in-laws, my mother-in-law, who usually only posts videos of herself square dancing, shared a particularly beautiful seascape photo she took. My father-in-law posted a picture of several large durians. I am well aware of these things. People who were trapped in the compound in my previous life also went through this. Some of them have been dead for 3 months, yet their social media feeds are still filled with sunshine. Remembering the suspicious look in John's eyes before he left, I hired a bodyguard. After all, I need to protect myself not only from him but also from my gambling-addicted father and my parasitic brother. Since I am still married to Barrett, I couldn't hire a male bodyguard, so I hired a female one. When I arrived at the security company, she was being rejected. I heard the recruiter say, "We don't hire women. Women are useless and only fit for staying at home to have children. They're not suited for this kind of rough work. We only hire professionals here." Upon hearing this, the female bodyguard raised her hand and knocked him to the ground. Several men rushed over, but she took them all down. I swallowed hard and instantly fell in love with this sister. She coldly said, "If this place doesn't want me, there are plenty of others that will." For some reason, such a Chinibu line sounded incredibly intimidating when she said it. At that moment, the person in charge of AW's security company showed up and asked her to stay, saying her skills were impressive. However, she refused, saying, "A company that discriminates against women isn't worth staying at. Your corporate culture is truly disappointing." After she left, I quickly chased after her, only to see her sitting on a flower bed sighing. When she noticed me, she put on a cold expression again. "Sis, I'm looking for a bodyguard. Would you like to join me? The probation period salary is $10,000, with social security and housing fund included." Looking at her neat short hair and black sportswear, I was truly struck by how cool she was. She paused for a moment, then stood up. "All right, thank you." I took her back to the factory to sign the contract. The formal employment contract will be signed after the probation period. She also told me about her situation. Her name is Cecilia, and she is a former Special Forces soldier who had to retire due to a gunshot wound in her lower back. She doesn't have many specific skills and just wants to work as a bodyguard, but she's been to several companies, and they all said they don't hire female bodyguards, although she receives government subsidies. Her mother is in poor health, so she can't stay at home. Not being very sociable, she can't work in jobs like sales or service. She said her leg injury has healed, but returning to the team is impossible. I felt heartbroken for her, but at the same time, I was glad to have found a treasure. I also told her about my own family situation. "He's been in Myanmar for half a month and still hasn't returned," she exclaimed in surprise. "Aren't you worried?" I shook my head. "Not at all. Look. He even sent me a message saying the jade there is super cheap, and he bought me a bracelet." Cecilia sighed helplessly. "You're way too trusting. I know the situation over there very well. They were definitely tricked into some compound, and they'll never get out." And she paused for a moment, looking at me with concern. "Cross-border police investigations are extremely complicated. Even if you report it to the police, it's very difficult to rescue them." I forced out a weak smile. "No, it can't be," she frowned. "I'll have my friend check their entry and exit records." Okay. A month passed with Cecilia's investigation, and my products went viral. Several traditional style bags and clothes sold over 100,000 units. I collaborated with several factories for production, and in just over a month, I had earned an amount of money I could only dream of in my previous life. I devoted all my energy to the factory, optimizing designs and controlling quality, using memories from my past life. I firmly grasped the hot trends. Cecilia also completed her 1-month probation period. I raised her salary to $30,000, but required her to live with me recently, because I knew a storm was brewing. I went viral online. My followers surpassed 800,000, and product sales reached 1 million. Internet popularity is like this. It can make you soar to the skies in an instant, but it can also send you crashing down into the abyss. So, with this opportunity, I go live every day. This caught my father's attention. He had gambled and lost again, and when he called me, he found out I had blocked him, so he resorted to his old tricks and called the police. I had anticipated this long ago, so I avoided him, but my stepmother and my half-brother also came looking for me. After hiding for over half a month, they finally found me on the road I always take to the factory with Cecilia around. I'm not really afraid of them, but they are really annoying. Now that you have money, you don't even want your father, you little, he yelled at me furiously, using very harsh language, but luckily I'm used to it by now. But Cecilia couldn't stand hearing that. She jumped up and punched him, knocking out one of his teeth. Ouch, someone's hitting me. At that moment, my stepmother started wailing and throwing a tantrum, lunging at me. Cecilia gave her another kick. Seeing this, my younger brother tried to attack Cecilia, but she knocked him out with a single punch. Cecilia rubbed her hand and looked at me, blinking her innocent big eyes. Let's go. There are no surveillance cameras here, and we two weak women can't possibly fight them. I got into the car, and she drove us away. Later, they did call the police. We pretended to be innocent, and since the police had no evidence, they had no choice but to let it go. They learned their lesson this time and didn't dare to come after me directly, and so I lived a peaceful life for a while, until the police found me. We found two bodies at the border. After DNA comparison, they were identified as your parents-in-law. When I heard the news, I almost fainted. And it was Cecilia who caught me at the police station. I explained everything I knew. I told them not to go, but they beat me up and said they were going abroad to live a life of luxury. I couldn't stop them no matter how hard I tried. If it weren't for the factory's good business during the May Day holiday, I would have gone too. Cecilia wiped my tears and asked the police, "Have you found any leads on Barrett and Maya?" The police shook their heads. "We're still investigating. It's not easy to find people across borders, and the situation over there is chaotic. Even our officers sent there got injured." A female police officer nearby sighed and said, "We do public awareness campaigns every day, but no one believes us. It seems we need to step up our efforts." Cecilia and I returned home. She was a bit worried about me and even brewed some calming tea for me under her watchful care. I slept soundly until morning. I continued to handle matters at the factory until the police came to see me again, informing me that Barrett had been confirmed dead. Looking at the 3 certificates, I still feel a bit dazed. You really shouldn't go to northern Myanmar, to be honest. I thought they wouldn't die so quickly and might still have a chance to come back alive, or perhaps that John wasn't a bad person. Unfortunately, there's no possibility. One after another, the police had me go to identify the bodies. Many young women had been killed, but my sister-in-law was not among them. Her social media feed was still filled with daily displays of gold and silver jewelry. It wasn't until half a year later that the police found me and told me my sister-in-law had been rescued, but she might not make it. I went to the hospital to see her. Tubes were connected all over her body, and when she saw me, she looked at me with excitement. "Sister-in-law." I heard these 2 words from her faint breath. This was the first time she called me sister-in-law. It had been over a year since I married into their family, and 2 years since we first met. This was the first time she addressed me with respect. Tears slid from the corners of her eyes. "I should have listened to you. We shouldn't have gone to northern Myanmar." I felt no sympathy at all, because in my previous life, when she sent me there, she knew exactly how terrifying that place was. So many movies and documentaries had exposed the horrors. But they wanted me dead. I tried to stop them in this lifetime, but they wouldn't listen. They even wanted to hit and curse at me, and they were already planning to get rid of me. I could only let things unfold as they would, unable to change anything. Perhaps this is the fate each of them was meant to follow. She reached out her hand to me. I'm sorry. Suddenly, she smiled again. "Sister-in-law, I'm so lonely. You'll come to keep me company, won't you?" After she finished speaking, I heard a beeping sound. Her heart had stopped beating. The police and doctors came in and expressed their regret, saying her kidney had been removed and she had contracted a disease, making it impossible to save her. Cecilia and I returned home. I didn't understand what her last sentence meant, but I knew she felt no remorse at all. Perhaps she was even regretting why she hadn't taken me along to northern Myanmar back then. She has always been jealous of my success, and I have no idea what I did to offend this sister-in-law. At night, I was half asleep and had a nightmare, dreaming that in my previous life, I was locked up by their entire family. "You didn't even graduate from high school. Any money you make is all thanks to our son, Doggy. Let's get a divorce. You're not good enough for me. I like Fiona, and I want to marry her. Stop wasting words on her. Our factory needs money, and sending her over will bring in a huge sum. They said her body is sturdy." I pleaded desperately, but their faces remained twisted with malice. In the midst of my struggle, I woke up and looked around the room. I had already disposed of Barrett's belongings, leaving only myself here. This feeling freed me from suffocation, leaving my entire body relaxed. At this moment, I heard the sound of fighting outside, even gunshots. Trembling with fear, I opened the door a crack to see what was happening outside. Is Cecilia okay? I can't let her get hurt again because of me. Bang, a gunshot went off, and I screamed in fright. Xiao Zhao, yeah, sis, I'm fine. At that moment, the lights turned on, revealing a person tied up on the floor, with blood still flowing from his leg. I quickly ran over to Cecilia and felt relieved to see she wasn't injured. She had already called the police. Someone like this, when I'm on a mission, I can take down 10 of them single-handedly. Don't worry, sis. Seeing how pale I looked, she reached out and gave me a hug. During this time together, I treated her like my own sister. And Cecilia was also very good to me. Every time my younger brother tried to bully me, she would chase him away. Even when my father and stepmother tried to slander me online, it was Cecilia who asked her senior sister to help resolve it, ensuring my business remained unaffected. Looking at John, who was tied up on the ground, he was in pain and threatened. Let me go. Do you know who you're messing with? Cecilia stepped on his wound, looking down at him from above. You little punk. Get this straight. This is China, not your tiny little corner of the world. Before he could even scream, Cecilia stuffed a rag into his mouth and sealed it with tape. It's late at night. Don't disturb the neighbors. When the police arrived, they took both Cecilia and me away. At the police station, Cecilia revealed her identity, so the officers could only admire her precise marksmanship, disarming a criminal and taking their gun. That's just too impressive. After questioning us thoroughly, I also explained how I came to know John, the female police officer. Couldn't help but sigh. These criminals are really— She couldn't say much more about it, because those women left voluntarily, and even customs couldn't stop them, but coming back is the hard part. John also confessed, saying how many people he had tricked away. They're just easy to fool. One line. This is northern Myanmar, where I grew up. Welcome to my world, my precious little princess, and I can trick hundreds of them. What do you do with the people you trick over there? The police officer asked with a stern expression. A person's body is full of wealth. He grinned viciously. You can't eliminate it, because as long as there is greed in people's hearts, those like me will keep emerging. The police officer took notes and looked up at him. Answer properly. Did you put a golden bracelet on everyone, to make identification easier? He nodded. Yes, everyone was willing to wear it. No one refused. Later, the police somehow managed to rescue quite a few people. During that period, I kept having nightmares, dreaming about my past life. Terrified that all of this was just a dream and that I was still heading down that dark path, but thankfully, every time I woke up, Cecilia was by my side. Because I often had nightmares, I bought a new house with 2 beds in the same room, and she stayed with me the whole time. My father was sent to prison for gambling, and my younger brother was also arrested for assault. My stepmother sold the property to bail him out, but she ended up losing both the money and the person. Barrett's so-called friends, upon hearing of his death, all cut ties with him and never came looking for me. I heard many of them ended up impoverished, and some even lost their families. Meanwhile, my career has been thriving. My fan base has surpassed 3 million, and I host live streams every day to sell products, interacting with my followers in all sorts of entertaining ways. It wasn't until the scams in northern Myanmar were widely exposed that many people stopped falling for them, and my family's story was used as an example. I never mention them during my live streams. I remain the strong, independent woman I've always been. I started a factory, selling women's products, ensuring quality and guaranteeing no losses. I want to make sanitary pads affordable for many girls. In the past, I used tissues because all the family's money was spent on my brother, and girls just had to make do. I also changed my name to Spring, to welcome the spring that belongs to me. One day, I drank a lot during a business engagement, and Cecilia carried me home. The bright moonlight shone upon us, and in my daze, I heard her words, "In this life, I saved you." It's wonderful. I was momentarily lost in a daze, dreaming of what happened after my death in my previous life. Someone found my body and discovered that all my organs were gone. Many people present fell silent. The girl who found me was deeply saddened. They raided the compound, and that girl was injured in the waist. The dream ended there, on Cecilia's back. I smiled, thinking that I, too, could be someone's unwavering choice. Cecilia side story. My name is Cecilia. In my previous life, the organization took on a case that led me to know someone. The organization said she had been trafficked and asked us to rescue her. She had passed on a lot of information about the compound and even saved a few of my brothers. I knew her, but I had never met her. I learned about her fate, from her birth to her death. I couldn't understand how one person could suffer so much. What she thought was her salvation only pushed her into a deeper abyss. I felt a bit sorry for her, until she safely brought out the last undercover agent in the area and was discovered. When I found her again, she had lost all vitality. Fate had carved scars all over her, making it so heartbreaking. I failed to save her, and it became a thorn in my heart. I had never failed in so many missions. Yet I failed when it came to saving her. I tried to ask the heavens, are ordinary people like weeds, not worthy of living? Must they suffer such a harsh fate? The day we took down the entire compound, I got injured, a wound to the waist, and was forced to withdraw from the mission. Later, I left the team, tracked down the people involved in the dark industry chain, and had them all arrested, including that guy named Doggy's husband. They were brought to justice later. During an undercover operation, I was killed. When I woke up again, I found that I had been reborn, but she was fine. She smiled and told me she would raise my salary to $50,000, and that she wanted to sleep in the same room as me. I agreed, because in this life I want to protect her. I know her story, I understand her struggles, and her future is bright. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.